3/8 of a point awarded Chase.
I'm really excited for when we have to bust out common denominators later in the podcast to try and figure out how many points I have.
I will award you 5/27 of a point.
Hey, listen.
Yeah.
It's Video Game Podtimism. It's the Optimist Video Game Variety Show, where two best friends talk about the wonderful world of gaming. My name is Chase.
Oh, my name is David. We're coming out firing today.
I wanted to get that intro out very quickly because I've been just pondering over something all day.
Okay, what is it?
This is deeply unrelated to the podcast.
Uh-huh.
And in sort of like the antithesis of a podcast where you're supposed to kind of like, you know, improv a little bit.
Uh-huh.
Sometimes I'll kick around jokes in my head, just like, I wonder if this is anything. I wonder if I have like a mind or a vein to mine here.
Uh-huh.
And this is nothing, but all day I've been singing Hot for Teacher, but I've been replacing it with Hot for Kreacher, the name of the elf in
Harry Potter.
Harry Potter, yeah. And so I don't really know how to get that in here, but I did just sort of want to speak that into a microphone, just so you have to witness the phrase "hot for Kreacher." I'm gonna try at some point, David. I will try and work the very boyish "hot for Teacher" remix into our podcast, but I wanted to call that shot right up here.
All right, can I get a little preview? Is that okay?
I mean, it's just "Hot for Teacher," but "Hot for Kreacher."
Okay.
Have you heard the song "Hot for Teacher"?
I have.
Yeah, it's that, but with, you know, instead of "Hot for Teacher," it's "Hot for Kreacher."
Oh.
It's not a good joke. I wouldn't say it's a good joke or a good remix, but it is the thing that has been knocking around in my noggin all day.
Why did this happen?
I don't know.
How did this happen?
I don't know. I think I may just have run out of funny juice today, and this is the thing that my brain was like, you know what? Maybe this is something. Maybe I can bring this to a video game podcast.
Hot for Teacher instead is Hot for Kreacher.
Yeah.
Got it.
Got it bad, got it bad, got it bad. Oh, hot for Kreacher. You know.
Is there a sexy creature in the music video?
I mean, in this version, in this cursed version, I think there is, yeah.
So does this version exist in like the old one dimension, the Chet the Rat dimension?
Yeah, the Chet verse.
Chet the Chetiverse.
the extended Chet universe.
Oh no. Oh man.
Wow. Have you been playing video games, my friend?
I have been, and I'm hot for Kreacher to talk about them.
Okay, now we're talking. Now we're moving into the space. We're playing in the space.
We're playing the game now. The game is foot. How many times can you fit Hot for Kreacher into what you're saying? I'm at 1, Chase is at 0. Let it be known. I am beating him in his own game so far.
Yeah, that is true.
He's looking pretty cold for Kreacher over there right now.
I haven't claimed that space at all. Pretty chilly for Kreacher.
Okay. I'm done. I'm done on that right now. I have been playing games.
Could you tell me about the ones that you've played?
Yeah, I beat Halo 5.
Oh wow, nice. I didn't play, I think, the story at all. Do you want to?
Really?
I don't think so. I think I heard from my friends at the time that the story was not good, and so I just skipped it entirely, which I think in hindsight is kind of a mistake.
Uh-huh.
It's a Halo campaign, like you might as well.
Yeah.
But what did you think of your experience?
It was pretty vanilla.
Yeah.
You know, it wasn't anything to write home about. There were definitely some good beats. I think it was paced fairly well. It dragged a little bit in like maybe the beginning of the beginning or the middle of like the third portion of the game, the third quarter of the game.
Yeah.
But you know, it was good. I think maybe it was a little too quick sometimes. I was oftentimes confused about what I was doing and why I was doing things and where I was.
Sure.
Except, you know, I had a gun and it was just time to shoot.
Yeah.
But there were some good parts. I especially like the part where, spoilers for Halo 5, all the different AIs start to chime in to Cortana and like pledge their allegiance to her.
Yeah.
It's just like, oh shit. The AIs are coming.
I did hear that there were some like kind of wild implications with the whole Cortana thing.
It's about the implication. Do you want to know what the actual like plot of the game is right now?
No, because I'll probably play it soon.
It was an interesting plot.
Yeah.
It's a heel turn, but it's fun. It was fun.
Cool. Nice. Yeah, I was gonna say like what you thought about the mechanics, but I'm sure it's Halo.
It's Halo.
Yeah.
Some of the guns felt a little underpowered, like especially the Needler. Needler's my favorite Halo weapon.
Yeah.
And it was not needling in this game. It was pretty weak.
Justice for the Needler.
It was just poking. It wasn't needling. But other than that, the gunplay was solid.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, there's not much to say about it besides it was Halo. They didn't really do anything different than Halo 4. It felt like, or at least nothing significantly different. But it was enjoyable. It's a short campaign. It was maybe like 10 hours.
I feel like
you could blast through it pretty quick.
I feel like that's ideal for any sort of shooter. I feel like I can't do much more than that and still be like engaged in any sort of way.
Yeah, but yeah, it was interesting. They tried to do a Master Chief Arbiter type situation again with mixed results. I didn't find the other main character very compelling at all. He just seemed he was very generic, basic, hoorah kind of Marine guy.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it's still shoot the grunts. Fight the bad guys.
I enjoy the story in Halo, but that is definitely not the thing that I go to it for.
So it's enjoyable.
Yeah.
It's a solid like B, I'd say.
Yeah.
I've also dipped back a little bit into the Breach.
I saw you were playing that the other day. I think it's probably worth explaining what that game is.
It is a top-down, turn-based, tile-based strategy game.
Yeah, I think that's about right.
With sci-fi elements, it's mechs.
Yeah.
So it's like a 3v3 battle. Mm-hmm. You can move your characters all across this grid, and each character does different things. Like one is the attack mech, and one is like the protection mech, and one has like a special ability that can like attack and defend, or push people around, move yourself around in interesting ways.
Yep.
Each level you have different objectives, like protect this building, beat this boss. That's pretty much kind of what it boils down to, honestly. Or like don't land on a mine and you instantly die.
Yeah.
And it's a roguelike, so you do different runs and then you die and then you start over and try to beat it again.
Yeah.
With a little bit of progression between runs.
Yeah, you can like carry over characters as well.
Yeah, and the characters will level up. But if they die for good. And you have to wait until you get another character.
Which is pretty sweet. I liked that part of Into the Breach.
Otherwise, you just get a little AI dude who controls the mech.
Right. It's also made by the same people who did FTL.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh.
I think that was their first big game since FTL, in fact.
That's quite good.
Yes. Both games are quite good video games.
Yeah, it's a fun game. It's just little bite-sized levels. Nothing really overstays its welcome. They're just essentially they're puzzles, really. They're puzzles more than anything else, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Because there's definitely a correct way to engage in the level, and that starts from like the first turn.
Yeah, it seems like there's always like a way to do the level nearly perfectly, if not like reducing a lot of damage, which is cool. It's really fun.
Yeah, so it's a really fun game. It's a good one to do before bed. It's more like a little mind puzzle than like a reaction-based adrenaline pumping game.
Yeah.
Like the next game I've been playing, which is Forza 5 Horizon.
Yeah. I was just about to say, I suspect we have some crossover in the games that we're playing this week.
This game is really good.
It's very good.
I love it.
Yep.
I played 4.
Yeah.
Horizon 4 when I got Game Pass, and I was kind of flat on it.
Yeah.
I didn't love England. It was kind of boring for me, personally.
It oftentimes turned into various shades of green, which like isn't always bad, but it like kind of looked kind of samey after a certain point.
Yeah. But Mexico, man, is so dynamic.
It's very
oh my
good.
gosh. It's so good. There's so much to do and see. You got dunes, you got desert, you got jungle, you got cities, you got like regular ass forests.
Yeah.
It's good. It's good. Lots of variety, which makes it very fun to drive very fast in my cars around it.
I've also been playing this game and I have similar thoughts. It's really been enjoyable so far. Are you like into racing games? I don't know if I know this about you.
I love a good racing game.
Okay, cool.
I'd say it's probably one of my favorite genres, actually.
Nice.
Like if it's done well.
Yeah.
I love that started probably with Cruis'n USA.
Absolutely.
Oh, man. Yeah, lifelong love affair.
No, I feel like I'm in the same boat. Like I think it was like, I can't remember which Forza it was. I think it was Motorsport 1 or maybe 2. One of them I was like, I fell headlong into. And I think generally I prefer the model of Forza that Motorsport does rather than Horizon, but they both offer totally different experiences despite how similar those games are.
Yeah.
Motorsport's very much like
The Sim.
It's very simmy, and I think the reason that I like it more is just that I like racing really shitty cars. I feel like much more grounded in that way of like, I think I know what a Civic drives like, so like what if I could actually drive it as fast as I could?
I want to drive my 2001 Chevy Malibu. Please.
Exactly. Yes. Like just a terrible car that I'm like whipping around the Nürburgring or something.
Yeah, they don't have that in Horizon.
No, Horizon is very much like a supercar sort of thing, or like a big, disgusting, like monster, nearly monster truck sort of situation. But
yeah,
it offers a totally different experience insofar as like it's supposed to just be like really fun all the time, which it very much is for me. I'm really enjoying it.
Yeah, it's all the different events that you can do are very fun, like around the map. Like the mainline story it's fine, but the events that you get to do are always pretty fun and unique and different and interesting.
Yeah.
And then the visuals are just stunning. It's
crazy.
It looks so good. It looks so good. My goodness gracious. So I'm having a lot of fun just plowing through and exploring all the different areas of this map because it's quite nice. And just so you know, Chase, I am going around, and if I see that we have done the same event,
yeah,
I don't stop until I've beaten your high score.
I knew that.
Just so you know. Just so you know.
I put the license plate as Ding Boy, so I knew that it would taunt you whenever my ghost came up in your game.
Just wait until you see my license plate now, Chase.
I haven't seen it yet.
I've changed it to something else just for you, my friend.
It's just fuck you, Chase.
That would have been better actually, but no, it's more near and dear to my hatred of heart.
Ooh, maybe like FUDK?
Maybe you have to go see.
Okay, I'll go find out. We'll report back next week. I agree. This game is really good. I think it was Chris Plant on the Resties rather than the Besties was talking about work games versus weed games, which I thought was really fucking funny.
Huh?
Where like a weed game is a game that you can just like totally turn off your brain and play, which I typically enjoy. I feel like I like those games. Those are usually really good before bed games for me.
Yeah.
But like a work game is something maybe like Destiny where you like really have to focus and like think about shit.
Sure.
But Forza Horizon 5 is doing this weird thing where it's got this like middle ground where you can kind of do either.
It's a little bit of both, yeah.
Yeah, like you can just like turn your brain off and just like drive and do whatever event crosses your path, which is very fun. Or you could take it very seriously and tune your car up exactly the one that you like and make it really good and like do the specific events that you want to do and only do those. But like it offers both, which is kind of wild. Like,
yeah.
I feel like it's not often that you see something done that well.
Yeah, the difference between like jumping off of a cliff and just trying to go as far as I can versus trying to beat one of these seasonal championship races, which are so hard.
Yeah, they're pretty challenging.
I keep on getting second and it's been pissing me off. It's been really driving me nuts.
Driving you nuts, huh?
Driving me nutso. It's a very fun game. Now my question for you, Chase, is what camera do you use? What camera angle, I should say?
Yeah. I can't race in anything but the angle that is what the car's hood would be seeing if you were driving it.
So do you see any hood or do you just see are you on the hood or the grill?
I'm on the grill. I can't see any car.
A man of culture, I see. I am the same. I need to feel like I am the car and not that I am driving the car, if that makes sense. It makes so much more sense to my brain if I feel like I am Lightning McQueen versus this person driving this car.
I can't look at the car. Looking at it fucks me up. Like it has a tangible effect on me being able to turn well. Like something about it freaks me out where I'm like, ooh, it looks like I'm kind of not taking this turn right, and then I won't do it well.
Yeah.
But if I'm just on the ground for whatever reason, I'm just like, I'm in it. I'm whipping. It doesn't matter.
Same. Same. The visual of the car messes me up.
Yeah, it's very weird. Also the driver's seat, I can't do that either. Or the hood, any of it really. Like I wish I could do it where I saw the car, because like sometimes you do want to see your big Ford Bronco or whatever it is, your Jeep. But like I can't. If I'm doing any sort of actual race, I have to like throw it into first person mode.
Yeah. If I'm cruising, I'll look at my car.
Yeah, sure, it's fun.
But if I'm for serious, if my elbows are on my legs, I am hooding it. I'm grilling it.
Very weird. I didn't like it. I honestly haven't thought about it that much other than like the first part where I'm like, ooh, this doesn't feel good. And then had to throw it into a different camera angle.
No, I'm with you.
It's a good game. I've been there. I think there's like a mode called like streamer mode, where it takes all of the like licensed music out of it. And like, I like a lot of the music that's in there, but what it turns into is this like very good drum and bass sort of like music. The shit that we were kicking around when we were talking about Buck Bumble. Just those like 8-minute songs of like all that sort of stuff. Right. I love that way more. That soundtrack really does it for me.
Streamer mode, huh?
Yeah, it like changes the music. Cause like I can do those other songs when, you know, you're racing around doing jumps and shit. But if I have like 5 laps of a course that takes maybe 5-6 minutes, I gotta just go. I gotta go and get in the zone.
I don't want lyrics. I don't want more than 3 instruments. Just give me some drums.
Give me a drum.
Give me some beats.
Yeah, some glitchy drums, and then just like the hint, the LaCroix flavoring of a melody in there somewhere.
Oh.
It doesn't need to be very heavy.
All right, someone 3 doors down is playing a melody while you're drumming along to it.
Somebody has their stereo set to 2, about 5 or 6 doors down. I can kind of hear it.
I'll have to try that out.
Yeah, talk about a game that can get you into flow state really quick. I feel like it takes a long time sometimes for me to like get into the zone with games, but this one just like the second you pull the go trigger, I'm like, my brain just immediately goes into another space.
Yeah, like I'm
it's
ready.
Wild.
Let's do it. Yeah. Let's do it.
It's great. It's a good video game.
Very fun game.
Yeah. It like takes the same tact that I felt the cruising game that just came out takes, where the game like is it's trying really hard make you have fun at all times.
Yeah.
And I think it does it pretty good. There's like times when like the cutscenes and the dialogue and the quote unquote story of it kind of gets in the way, but
yeah,
I feel like after the first like hour, it's pretty much non-existent and you can just do whatever. It's good. It's a good video game.
It's a good game. The last game, which also you've been playing, I know.
I also have, yes.
Is Halo Infinite multiplayer.
Yeah, exactly.
So good.
Yeah, so this like shadow dropped yesterday. We're recording this on Tuesday, and Monday was Xbox's like 20th anniversary of being Xbox. And they're like, as a little treat, you can have multiplayer Infinite or Halo Infinite multiplayer, which was a cool treat. I liked that they did this, so we opted to move the podcast to today so we could play it with the Stankers.
We had an emergency meeting of the Stank Squad.
Yeah.
We called the banners.
Yeah, exactly. We rallied the Jarls. What did you think about the Halo Infinite multiplayer, David?
I thought it was quite fun.
Yes, I did too.
Still kind of confused about some of the battle modes and a lot about the guns and the different like right bumper abilities you pick up during the game.
Yeah.
But there was that one game that we had in that point control game type where we were just all communicating so well and just fighting back from two points down. It was so good.
Yeah.
We were just in unison. It was great. It's great.
We had 5 people in our group, and so we really only had the option of playing big team battle, which is a lot of people playing Halo at once. I think it's 12 on 12, which is just a lot of connections to the same Ethernet port.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was fun. I have a hard time sometimes with big team battle, but there's a couple in there that were pretty sublime. Where like, yeah, we were just moving in unison. The game types were fun and interesting and new to the point where like, I was like, okay, I haven't played this, but this is fun. The game type that you were talking about is one where I think you have to capture all 3 King of the Hills to score a point, which is harder than it sounds. It's like
all at the same time.
So like you can't have any of them be contested, which essentially means you have to like kill the entire enemy team and like scatter them enough that they aren't able to just immediately roll over you.
Yeah.
Which is tough. It was not an easy thing to do, but yeah, felt great. Felt great to play.
Yeah, that game is really fun. I'm excited to play more of it. I don't know what else to say at this point. It's Halo.
It is.
It shoots good. The new guns are interesting, I guess. Nothing really like stood out to me personally, but I really liked the new Wasp. That's a new one, isn't it?
I feel like that one may have been in previous Halos, but I feel like you really didn't get a lot of chances to use it. You're talking about the like human
like
kind
hovercrafty thing.
Yeah, it's like a one-person plane.
That one was good. I like all the different all the vehicles feel pretty well tuned.
Yeah.
I would say. And nothing feels totally overpowered yet. Yeah. We'll see.
I'm sure something will. But yeah, I agree. It seemed like they dialed back a little bit on the previous Halo's multiplayer. I played a fair amount of that, and it seems like they took out a little bit of that one. What I'm thinking of specifically is there were like moves you could do where if you're running and you did like a melee hit, you would do this sort of like dash attack that allowed people to get up in your face really quickly, which was cool and like frenetic. And the same thing applied if you were jumping, you could like hold your punch and it would like allow you to charge up a hit and then just like slam somebody on the ground. And like overall, this one has felt like it's just moving a little bit slower, which I think is a good thing. Like, I think that is something that Halo relies on pretty often as like something to distinguish itself from other shooters, in that like it's kind of hard to kill other people in Halo. Yeah. If you're like either not using the right weapon or you're too far away or there's more people on you. Like in any sort of other shooter, not any, but like a lot of the popular ones like Call of Duty or something, you can roll up on a group of 3 people and feasibly kill them all before they really know what's going on. Versus like if you roll up on 3 people in Halo, you're like, fuck, I don't know what to do here. I'm gonna have to like think about this. Because if I just shoot one and then they all turn around, they're just gonna wipe me. Like I'll be gone before I can really think about it. Yeah. And so I think by slowing the game down a little bit, it leans harder on what has made Halo multiplayer fun in the first place, which is good. I like that model of it. I think that the like equipment that you were talking about, the like right bumper stuff, is interesting. That reminds me a lot of like Halo Reach, stuff like that, where you could put down, or I think Halo 3 did as well, where you could put down like bubble shields and stuff like that, or you know, other sort of like stuff that would like increase your shield regeneration effect very quickly. And so I think that stuff is interesting, and it usually makes gameplay a little bit more asymmetrical, where if you have a spot that you need to defend or something, those sort of attacks or like equipment uses come in handy. And so it makes it more interesting, and you can kind of be a little bit more strategic about it rather than just let me go get the rockets and win the game. That's definitely still here, but like it's, you have options for how to deal with that. But yeah, I'm super interested to see like how this evolves and what happens. It is way more so like for context, the last Halo I think came out in 2016, 2015, somewhere around there. And like Fortnite was a thing and like battle royales were a thing, but they were not as significant as they are now. And so it's very odd to see Halo sort of taking some of that on. Like the battle pass stuff is very Fortnite-y and kind of like reminds me of Dota in a certain way, but it's modeled very much after a battle royale game. And I think they're like hooks into how you unlock armor is also very battle royale-y. And so like I'm interested to see if those two things square with each other down the road, just because I know that like people play Halo for a really long time. And so like I wonder what the effect of combining those two things will be. Not that people don't play Fortnite for a long time. I don't know. I'm just interested to see the effect on it. It may be nothing. It may just be like, this is how we unlock armor now. Yeah. It might just be the new way of things. So I don't know. It's a very interesting experience. It's been 20 years of playing Halo and I've played all of them. So like, it's very odd to be a fully grown dude and like well aware that there are a lot of people who are much younger than I am playing this, and like how 343 decides to market their game and how they choose to like portray it. I'm assuming trying to hit both markets is pretty fascinating. Yeah, it's I don't know, it's odd, it's cool. They want the whole pie. Yeah, and I don't blame them. I think for a large segment of people who are like standard gamer dudes, like most games in the early 2000s were marketed towards just like, you know, the straight white guy. And like, not that that's still not true, but I think it's more pushing towards a younger audience. And so it's very interesting to see like how that sort of collision happens. Not that I have no fucking problem with it, because I don't know, like market your game to whoever. I don't feel entitled to Halo, but definitely. It's still definitely that video game. It's still very fun. So like, it's just interesting to watch their like approach to that. Halo good. Nice. Halo good. I want to play the campaign. I'm very excited to play the campaign. When does that come out? It probably on the release date that they have been kicking around originally, which I think is like the beginning of December at some point. Okay. So not very far away. God, December's close. Shit. I know, it's kind of a crime that we're like approaching the mid/second or third week of November. We're halfway through November. Yeah, what's happening? It's the 16th. What's going on? Why is this happening?
Time don't stop for nobody.
Time don't stop for nobody, especially not Kreacher from the Harry Potter series. Because I'm hot for Kreacher, David.
That was a stretch. Boo.
Yeah.
Boo.
Yeah.
All right, I'll give you we'll count that as half a point.
That's kind, honestly. I was expecting a fourth of a point. I was expecting a quarter.
I mean, if you want 3/8 of a point, we can split the difference.
I'll take a half. It's easier to count.
You said quarter, so we'll do 3/8 of a point. 3/8 of a point, a worded chase.
I'm really excited for when we have to bust out common denominators later in the podcast to try and figure out how many points I have.
I will award you 5/27 of a point.
Very specific. Very specific. Have you been playing any other games?
No, that's it. What have you been playing?
I've been playing 3 games, 2 of which we have already talked about.
Nice.
We talked about Halo and we talked about Forza. Those are 2 of the games.
Mm-hmm.
However, for you today, for your viewing pleasure, I would like to talk to you about a video game named Satisfactory, David.
Ooh, is this a clicking game?
No, thank God. Although it's not. There are parts of it that are...
it's not a clicking game.
It's I mean...
Isn't any game a clicking game?
Depending on how you count it.
Sure enough.
There are parts of it that are kind of idle game-ish, but not for a long time. You kind of have to be in it for a while to do that.
Uh-huh.
So Satisfactory is a game that I think has been in early access for maybe a year or 2. And I'm not clear on when this fully came out. And it still hasn't hit their 1.0 release. So I don't think it's fully out now.
Mm-hmm.
But this is a game in, I think, the factory/automation genre. You have games like this. You have Dyson Sphere Program.
Dyson Sphere Program. That's a game?
Yes, it is.
What the fuck?
And essentially it's in the genre where the point of the game is to build out these complex systems that will, or not even complex, just systems that will at some point sort of self-automate and allow you to grow in that way.
Sure.
And I didn't know, I had heard of this game before, and I had kind of assumed that doesn't sound fun to me. That sounds a lot like what work is.
Uh-huh.
It sounds like programming and it sounds like logic. And I'm I don't think I want to do that in my free time.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw some some clips of it, some videos, and it looked like it was in first person and it looked really pretty. And I was okay, that's not what I thought this game was. And then I saw that there was a lot of stuff that was working like Subnautica also. Subnautica being the game where you're in an ocean, you have to build yourself a base, and then you eventually will unlock new technology that allows you to go deeper into the ocean, and you get submersibles and shit, which is a game I really liked unexpectedly. I did not expect to like games like that because I'm not usually into the survival genre. What was the game that came out earlier the year?
Valheim?
Valheim, yeah. That game didn't hook me in the way that I was kind of expecting it to, given that I liked Subnautica. And I think part of it was that it felt a little janky. And I think a lot of people were totally cool with that, but for whatever reason, it just didn't grip me in the same way. But I came to Satisfactory and it was okay, this looks like Subnautica. It looks pretty neat. I'll give this a try. I think I did that on Thursday or Wednesday or something. And I've since put 25 hours into this video game.
Oh my gosh.
Because I just can't really stop.
Oh, wow.
I wish I could.
I love this video game.
It's very good in ways that I think are really specific to me. And I don't know that this is I feel like if I was going to make a recommendation to play this, I would have to know exactly who the other person is. Because they're either going to love it or they're going to be this kind of sucks and I don't think I like this. So the way the game plays out is that you land on a planet. Very good intro sequence, by the way. You're in space. You're in a drop pod, essentially. And you come through the atmosphere and you're burning up, essentially, until your pod eventually lands safely. But very good, very fun intro. It was very pretty. And you land on this very lush planet. It's green and pretty. And you have very few tools. And it's essentially just there's a little AI talking to you and it's giving you instructions about okay, here's your first mission. It's to deconstruct the pod that you just landed in so you can have some of its resources. And so you do that. It's just a button click. And it's okay, great. Now you have enough resources to build a little equipment bench. I'm okay, do that. It's very easy. it's like, okay, you should pick a place where you can build a little base. You should build it on like a iron deposit.
Sure.
Like, okay, got you. And just like gives you very simple and incremental, straightforward goals. And then once you've gotten a base, it opens up a little bit and it's like, okay, here are some goals for you that you can sort of work towards. It, essentially, like, you know, each goal you hit will unlock different tiers of technology. And so the first one, I think, is an auto miner. And so it's like this little device that you plunk into the ground that will just mine ore for you. And then once you have enough ore, you can build other shit. And the main sort of core of the game is that you have a bunch of these different systems, right? So initially one of them will be like a mining rig that just pulls ore out of the ground. You then feed that with like a conveyor belt that you build into like a smelter to take the raw iron and put it into iron bars. Iron bars can make a whole bunch of shit. And so then you can fork like your iron production into something that will build iron rods or iron plates or something like that. And those resources are all used for other shit. And essentially it's just this really, really satisfying back and forth where you are building resources to get better upgrades that make your system more efficient, that allow you to build better systems, that allow you to become more efficient, to get better upgrades. And like it just sort of folds in on itself after a certain point. And like initially right at the beginning I was like, oh, I could see how maybe this wouldn't be fun in the long term. And then just like it keeps unlocking shit and I'm like, man, I think I gotta rebuild my whole base now that I have this kind of technology. Like, ooh, I don't have to burn coal anymore. I could just like automate my power system. I gotta do that. Okay, so there's an ore or a coal deposit 1,000 meters away, and that's pretty far. But I could build that. That'll only take me a half an hour. Build it all the way over. Get some like water deposit, a well, a spring to come and have water that can make steam for my coal production, so that I can have more power. You can watch your power supply because sometimes your fuses will blow if you're using too much power. So you're like, okay, I gotta go diagnose what's wrong with my fucking rig. And it's like, oh, it's not getting enough water. I gotta go figure out what's going on there. It just the whole thing turns into this wild experience where, again, talk about being able to get into flow quickly.
This wild experience.
I know. Automation and logic gates. Very exciting stuff.
Oh man.
Anyway, this game is so specifically my thing in a way that I was not expecting it to be. And I don't know that you would enjoy this game if you weren't anybody that doesn't have a very similar fucked up dingboy brain to me. And it honestly does feel a lot like work in the way that like I do programming during the day and then I turn my laptop off and I start doing programming in Satisfactory. And like it's not the same thing, right? Like I'm not wrestling with C# or something. It's just sort of logic gates and like here's the end result. How do I get there? And what do I need to build that's like makes it efficient and smart? God, it's just satisfying. Also, I was humbled when I looked on the internet at like people's setups, because I was like, I've got this sort of scrappy little iron production farm that I got going on. Let me take a look at what people have got going on, and this is fucking nuts. Like the massive vast factories that people have built in this game. I'm like, I am so far away. Like I got shit like crossing all over it and I have wires just dangling all over my fucking farm. It's not good. It looks pretty janky by comparison. Not to mention people have like figured out the like by far most efficient ways to do stuff. And they have like diagrams and charts of how to do it rather than just like build a water extractor. It's like, well, if you really want to get your money's worth, you want to build 3 of them right next to each other and then ship all of the water in 3 separate tracks back to your farm so that you can build 8 coal production mines right there, because that's the most bang for your buck. And realistically, that's as many as you're going to need. Just crazy shit with like genuine charts, not just like here's a screenshot, but like let me just model exactly how many squares this part is going to take up, how many like foundational tiles you need to build to do that.
So these people have Excel open while they're playing this game.
Absolutely, because like I'm enjoying this just sort of for the sense of progression and like the sense of satisfaction you get from building something that's like working and doing its job. You could feasibly like do this to death Like somebody could build this out and be like, I have beaten this fucking video game. I have achieved the perfect form. Which is not really my thing.
Cell,
but,
is that you?
Yeah, exactly. So it's a good video game. I'm really loving playing it, but also definitely have the sense while I'm playing it that like, oh fuck, I just chimed into this or popped into this game for like an hour or meant to for like 20 minutes and played for like 3 hours or something fucked. So like I feel
this
like
is your city skylines.
Very much, yes. Like I blink and hours have gone by because I was rebuilding my fucking tin mining facility or something. Like it's a lot.
Oh my gosh.
So yeah, I like this game a lot. I didn't expect to. Like I said, I think the idea of saying like you need to build a complex system, like my eyes start to glaze over because it sounds so familiar.
But this one good.
This one got me. It feels a lot like if somebody said they played the part in Minecraft where you start to get redstone and they're like, what if we made this fun though? Because redstone's hard in Minecraft.
Yeah.
Like you got to build some shit to make it work for you. But this one's mostly like, no, we'll just give you the fucking thing that pulls the ore out of the ground.
Man, this game's got you sweating over here.
Dude,
you're working. You're getting hot. You're getting hot for Kreacher over there.
Fuck, David, I was coming for it. You pitched me a slow fastball down middle plate. You came over, took the bat from my hands and knocked it.
It's like that Bugs Bunny. He's playing all the positions. It's me.
Yes, no,
it's
exactly.
Me.
Oh man, that's 2. That's 2 for you and 3/8 for me.
3/8. You're on the scoreboard.
Anyway, this game is really good. I don't know what else to say about it other than if you have a sort of broken brain like myself and need to feel a sense of progression to feel good about your day, then play this one because it does that.
This game was really appealing to the bee and all bee.
Yes, the busy bee. The worker drone. I must produce.
It is my free time. I must produce something still.
Yes, that is my vibe. So anyway, I'm having a good time with it. I'm going to keep playing it because I want to unlock the aircraft, which I haven't done yet, and I would really, really like to.
Hell yeah!
All I've got right now is a janky little truck.
That's not bad.
That's not bad. Anyway, this will bring me to. Whoa, let me take another crack, another pass at that one. This will bring me to my Podtimistic thing of the week, David. It is the wild, kind of hilarious, kind of tragic situation surrounding the Grand Theft Auto remasters that have recently come out.
It's just kind of funny at this point.
It's wild, man. Let me say up front, there's part of me that feels bad for these developers who absolutely were given a deadline and they're like, we need the GTA remasters by December. And they're like, I think we need 3 more years. And they're like, no, you have 6 months. And they're like, okay, here's what you're going to get. And I feel bad for the people who potentially like really wanted this and really wanted to play through these games again. Outside of that, it is a wild situation that is going on with these remasters. And I really like watching it.
Yeah, it seems just like Bizarro World.
Yes. For anybody who doesn't know what we're talking about, there's a collection recently that came out of a quote-unquote remaster of Grand Theft Auto 3, Vice City, and San Andreas. It seems like the game is not good. Like, there's a lot of wild decisions. It from what I understand, I watched the Digital Foundry video that was like I think it was like 30 minutes of talking about the performance of specifically GTA 3 on all of the platforms that it's currently out for. And just the benchmarks that they're putting up is bananas. Like, this is a very old video game at this point that has got definitely a new coat of paint, but it plays like it's still an alpha. Like, it's not very good. There's a lot of places where you can just like clip through the map entirely and fall through to some other place.
Oh no.
I would say pretty distinctive visual style of Grand Theft Auto is kind of not present here.
No, they made like weird cartoony, smoothed over version. Ultra smooth.
I think that's the issue, is that like there was sort of this like etherealness to the way that the GTA graphics were rendered. And Digital Foundry sort of talked about that it comes off as a style at this point, and it plays pretty well, where like it's kind of like foggy and the colors kind of blend together in a way that looks interesting in hindsight. And like some of that was probably like a constraint of the system, but also at the same time, there probably were a lot of stylistic choices that they chose to do it that way, right? Like, we want this game to feel sort of like a dark, seedy world that you're stepping into. But what's happened to the new one is that it seems like they've just like smoothed over a lot of the models. And so they end up looking like a Lego character, like GTA. It's very odd.
Yeah.
There's a mission you go to very early on to go like talk to this mechanic. And he has in the original one, like it looks like slicked back hair. It's obviously pixely and doesn't look great, but in the new one, it's so smooth and shiny. It looks like plastic. And it really takes away from the sort of like the like almost threat that GTA is putting off at any given time. It felt dangerous to me to play GTA as a kid.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, this is a game intended for like criminals. I was like 10, but like
target audience, criminals.
Yeah. And like, obviously it's not true. It was appealing to people who were definitely like, 14 or 18 or whatever it was.
But that's how it felt like what you were playing when you were a kid.
Yes, it did. And that's, I'm sure, by design. They were trying to make it feel like this kind of like dangerous thing you were playing through. And it really doesn't feel that way in hindsight, or I guess with the remaster now.
Yeah.
Not to mention like the wild glitches that everybody are you see every now and then. There's that thread a couple of days ago of they smoothed out the edges of a nut.
Yeah, like tough nut donuts.
Yes,
it's
exactly.
no longer a nut.
It's just a circle.
Yeah, it's a washer.
They've taken all the hard edges of a polygon and smoothed them out, so like it just looked like a circle.
So wild.
It was bananas. And so like I'm bummed out that we didn't get GTA in a concise package, because I think it is an interesting piece of games history, and especially if you're able to retain the sense of style that the game intentionally had put forth. But it's also kind of hilarious to like look at this game and be like, what have you done to my boy? Look how they've massacred my son.
Yeah, God.
So yeah, it's wild. I'm sort of, every time I see a new screenshot, I'm like, that's just lovely. I love watching that. That's really good.
Just wait until they release GTA Trilogy Definitive Edition Remastered and they just smooth it out even more.
It's just liquid texture at a certain point. We've achieved new butter tech to render all of our characters luscious.
You actually
3D.
just play the game by shoving your hands in a vat of butter.
Moving it around. You do butter crimes in there.
Thanks, I hate butter games.
It's the worst invention of 2021. The worst genre.
Probably. Buttercore.
Oh, God. Have you got something fueling your sense of podtimism this week, David?
I do.
What is it?
It's radio stations.
Oh, yes, absolutely. A couple of good ones here.
The one that I was thinking of was Forza Horizon 5.
Yes.
Some sweet radio stations on there with some good DJs and some fun, unique voice lines in each one of them, and just some good beats to roam around. Mexico, too. So just really, really great that they give you options of music. Because sometimes I don't want to be rolling around to rock out music. Sometimes I want to race in the rain to some classical tunes.
Yes, absolutely.
And that's just what I need. That's my vibe.
Yep.
Which is honestly what I default to a lot of times is classical music while I did that game.
Sure.
Which is great. It feels right. Feels right. Feels classy.
Yeah.
And of course, you're bringing up GTA. GTA is known for their
very good radios. Yeah.
So good. But it was just really fun.
This is sort of tangential, but Guardians of the Galaxy, I've still been kind of poking at that one, has reminded me how good licensed music can work in video games sometimes.
Yeah.
Something about hearing a real world song like really grounds me in a video game every now and then, which is it's phenomenal. Obviously something like Rock Band or Guitar Hero, great music in there. For me personally, like a lot of the music in Vice City was music that I did not have access to and didn't have the context to understand at all.
Totally. Yeah.
Like when that game came out, like 2002, 2003.
Something like that, yeah.
I was like 12 or 13 at that point. And so like I was listening to music, but like I didn't know the difference between any of the music in the 80s. Like I could probably tell you what sounded like hair metal and not hair metal, and that's about it. So like, please, like, let me understand like some of the most basic shit, right? Like Michael Jackson versus, Kenny Loggins or something like that. Very different bands.
Yeah.
But without me being able to flip through the radio in GTA and hear those songs over and over again, I didn't get it. Until that moment where I was like, okay, no, I think I get this. I think I understand like what this music is doing.
Yeah.
Which is like a wild thing. I don't consider that a fundamental experience in music, but like that and Guitar Hero, I think are both pretty fundamental to some of my music taste.
Mm-hmm. No, I hear that. It's it leaves an impression. It leaves an impression on you. There's definitely some bands I got into through Guitar Hero and Rock Band, most definitely, and honestly from different radio stations and video games. It's like, oh man, this is a fucking banger. Just feels good to find the right song in a game to cruise to.
I don't know that Lil Jon's Get Low would be quite as impactful if I didn't hear it every time I popped open Need for Speed. It just got me ready to race.
I was ready to underground race whenever that song came on. That's what I was ready to do. Any dance that comes on, I'm ready to hit the NOS and go.
I was also a big fan of Riders on the Storm with Snoop Dogg in the sequel. I like that one quite a bit as well.
That is a good one. Classy.
I think that one had Static X in it too, which I really appreciate.
Static X.
Yes, I agree. A good radio station really brings a game together sometimes.
You know what's crazy?
What's that?
Just thinking about this right now.
Yeah.
Vice City was released in like early 2000s.
It's fucked. I know the comparison you're about to make.
So if it was released nowadays, the same time difference would be when Vice City was released. So it would be an early 2000s game.
The kids that will eventually be making turbo video game podtimism in the 2040s are going to be talking about how I didn't know what fucking new metal was, but
it was in the pod game.
Yeah, it was in the video game based off video game podtimism.
Pod Simulator 5000.
I hope we're included. I hope they get down to the little indie cast.
We're DLC. We're not included in Pod Horizon, but we are in Pod Sim.
You can pay. Yeah. Hey, would you like to move on to our main thing?
Yeah, let's do it.
Hey.
Oh, hey.
It's good to see you.
You too.
Just wanted to bring you over here and say that it's good games.
It sure is.
It's a segment where we talk about the okayest games of yesteryear. And gosh, all the things that we love about them.
Mm-hmm.
And speaking of big giant robots from last week.
Yeah.
We wanted to talk about a very odd video game from the N64 era named Blast Corps.
Blast Corps.
Did you play this game when you were younger?
I did not actually, no.
Okay, cool. I had, but didn't really remember a lot of it.
Yeah.
Like, it's a very odd video game. And so I think I just, like, my brain didn't understand it at the time. So I was like, whatever.
It's a very interesting premise.
Yeah, which we will get into. But before that, could I hit you with a few of these hot stats, David?
I'm hot for Kreacher, so yes.
God damn it. 3. Ay. I only have eighths of those. 3/8.
Hey, don't worry, you're drinking a hot toddy right now, so you got some potential in there.
I've got one in my back pocket.
Yeah.
Okay, here come the hot stats.
Hot stats.
This game came out March 31st of 1997 for the Nintendo 64. This was just a year after the N64 had launched, so it was kind of an early game.
Wow. Yeah.
In the lineup. This was made by the legendary Rare Limited. We've talked about them before when we talked about Jet Force Gemini. But they also made just hit after hit. You got your Diddy Kong Racings, your GoldenEye, your Banjo-Kazooie, your DK Country, DK64, Perfect Dark, Star Fox Adventures, which I liked a lot. Your Viva Pinatas, also liked.
All right, yeah.
And that is like just a slice of their video games. They made a shitload of them that are all quite good. When we were talking about doing this game, I was just kind of tangentially looking at information about Blast Corps and had done one of the reviews, like translated one of the reviews. The following review is one that I really, really wanted to bring.
Okay.
And so that was no small part of me saying, please, let's do Blast Corps. This is a review out of the outlet called Retro Age.
Retro Age, all right.
It's a Russian outlet, which I think we haven't done before.
I don't think so, yeah.
They brought a wild review. So what has happened is I've taken their review, I've run it through Google Translate through a shitload of languages, one after the other, to eventually come back in English to just, fuck up the review real good and see what they had to say after that. So with no further ado, let me read to you what Retro Age had to say.
Let's hear it.
It's hard to tell if a game like this will burn or not, but it will definitely bring a new vibe. It's not the same as before. A good sound window can last a long time on a game console. Check out this game and see if you like it. This game has many negative thoughts. Moral issues are controversial, and the game is bad. You can move your hand and answer boldly, quote, "This is for people with mental illness, people with different roofs," unquote. The game is designed by Blast Dozer against arsonists, sadists, and sickos. The whole group cannot have at least 5 people. About School is coming. 83 out of 100 from Retro Age.
God.
I swear that they wrote this review specifically to give Joe Video a run for their money.
Does Russian just not translate well? Why was it so aggressive?
There's some special sauce on this one. I really liked it.
What was happening in that?
My favorite by far sentence, you can move your hand and answer boldly, quote, "This game is for people with mental illness, people with different roofs." The game is designed to play Blast Dozer against arsonists, sadists, and sickos.
I like how Google translates like, no, this word means sicko. This is definitely sicko.
How did it get there? Not only that, but it alliterated. Arsonists, sadists, and sickos. Like you got that double alliteration there at the end.
Yeah, and you have the in arsonists as well. Lots of S.
Yeah, wow. Really good.
God damn, dude.
And anyway, Retro Age. Maybe one we'll have to revisit at some point.
I feel assaulted by that review.
Yeah, it's got a sort of violent and aggressive quality about it.
It's very aggressive. Very aggressive.
The ending, "About School is coming." What? Is that a threat?
I feel threatened. I definitely feel like that's a threat.
The words came out of my mouth.
Yeah.
Could you explain to me what this video game is, though?
Yeah, so it is you have a top-down perspective, and the premise of the game is that there is like a big old missile, like a nuke.
Yeah.
Coming on a predetermined pathway through an area. Its pathway is set in stone, even though these buildings and other obstacles were here in the first place.
Yes.
So then you have to go and clear its path. So you're going through and just busting up buildings with different vehicles. So you have like a bulldozer, you have a giant flying robot that then you like ground pound the buildings with.
Yes.
You have like a little shooty bike, a little like speeder bike that like fires missiles. Oh god, what were the other ones?
There was one that's like it's like kind of a normal looking front of a car, and then at the back it's got this trailer that just has these like wall arms that just shove out at any given moment.
Yeah.
That's how you blow shit up. There's a like truck that you have to drift to crush things with, which is really hilarious.
The drifty truck.
There's also kind of an acknowledgement in the tutorial for that level where they're like, you should get this down now.
Yeah,
because it's going to be harder. Whereas like the one with the big robot, they're like, you know what to do. Just like do it. We're giving you 5 minutes. You
just
got plenty
smash.
of time.
Yeah. So yeah, that's the game essentially.
That's it.
Clear the path for the missile and win, because you're going to blow people up, I guess.
Yeah, it's to prevent like nuclear catastrophe, which like the nuke is on the back of a truck. Have we tried stopping the truck? But it seems like a very, pardon the pun, like the nuclear option for dealing with this issue is just let's destroy everything.
And there's like little people running around too when you're in like these gigantic vehicles destroying buildings. So it's assumed that you're like murdering people. At least that's what I felt.
They have not given forewarning to the people in the buildings that they will be demolished.
There was no time. This truck is moving at a blistering like 5 miles an hour.
It's slow. So
they had no time to warn people.
Yeah.
Or get here hours beforehand to just evacuate and get things out of the way, as opposed to just a mad dash at the end. But yeah, I digress. It's a game. It was interesting. It was an interesting game.
Yes. I am constantly thinking about Pursuit Force and how terrible morally that game felt to play.
Yeah.
And I think this game does a good job of sort of making it so cartoonishly ridiculous that I don't feel quite as bad because you're doing kind of fucked up shit. Just like absolute destruction of a place. But I think it is set up in a way where it is so detached from reality that like it kind of demands not to be taken very seriously. Everything is very chipper. It feels like the fantasy of like a 4-year-old boy who has like Tonka trucks and like some blocks. And you're like...
And a Gundam.
Yeah. And just like is like, well, we gotta smash all the buildings so the missile doesn't hit the buildings.
Yeah, it feels like a 4-year-old's fantasy.
Which like is charming in a way. I don't hate that at all. Like... I think if you can get in the right headspace for that, it's a fun experience anyway.
Yeah, it also doesn't have the very sexist and racist overtones that Pursuit Force had.
No, just sort of big robots, which is, that's fine. Yeah. Do you want to get into our gushing segment where we talk about what we like about this game?
Yeah, let's do it. I'll start.
Okay.
Some of the controls feel a little unhinged.
Yes.
Especially in like the drifty truck and the bulldozer. They're just all over the place and just like drifting in these giant ass cars and trying to destroy things with some precision was, I thought, quite fun in a very silly way.
It demands you to like get good at the controls, but the controls are also pretty loose, which feels good. Like the like big Tonka trucks move really quickly and you can like whip around corners pretty fast. So like it takes a second to sort of adjust to like, I'm looking top down at these things, but it doesn't take very long. And yeah, you're right. It feels pretty good because it just feels like someone is kind of driving a car.
Yeah, just barely. Like it makes it feel like you're guiding it as opposed to driving it, if that makes sense.
You're suggesting where it goes.
Yeah, which I kind of enjoy for this kind of sweeping motions you have to take to beat the levels. I was going to say, I like that you can switch between different vehicles on the levels, right? So you can like get out, be a little person, and then get into a big old Gundam mech thing. Use that for a bit, and if you want, just go back to the other thing that you've been using. I think that was pretty good design choice. So you can kind of mix and match, or just use whatever tool you want for the level, which is fun.
Yeah, it encourages a certain amount of both experimentation and also the game just being cool with like, you can do whatever you want to, like whichever one feels good. There's levels that are challenging and they'll like say specifically this is the only thing you can do, but it seems like in the levels where you're actively breaking shit in front of the nuke, it usually gives you some options.
Yeah.
You can go in the giant mech that does a ground pound, or you can go in the other mech that has just like a big fist that you do uppercuts. That's the only thing it can do. It's just incredible. Let me just take a detour real quick over to the domain of Graham Norgate, the sound designer for this game.
Oh, Garen. Get ready, Garen.
I like the music in this game. It is very weird.
The music was good.
It really added to the effect of like, please do not take this that seriously. He specifically, Graham had said he had a favorite song, which is called Simeon Acres, which is the first song I think you hear.
The first level, I think, is Simeon Acres, isn't it?
Yes. Yeah. Why don't we take a little sampling of Simeon Acres? And like, I need us to get like probably in a minute and a half through this because it goes some places and I need us to experience all of those places.
Let's hear it.
Great way to start with a banjo, I gotta say.
And the bass line's pretty good.
Absolutely.
Very podunk. Got a little trappy there for a second.
I know.
Proto trap.
Oh my god. Yes.
The pitched up.
Like violins, fiddles, I guess?
Yeah. Now we're in the club.
Yes. Oh my god.
Get down to this. Kind of
it sounds like that's yes, I agree. It reminds me of a song. Okay, hold on. Yes, those things. That's what I needed us to get to.
What are those even called? What is that supposed to be?
I think it's those little instruments that like people play with like their tongue. It's like a long sort of
string?
like thing. I think so.
Is it a mouth guitar? Is that what it's called? Something like that?
I forget, yeah. Anyway, I love this song. It sounds like if in Banjo-Kazooie you got like a really good power-up, that this is the song that would play.
Oh, for sure. For sure.
I'm pretty sure it's like the same instrumentation too, like the same the MIDI banjo samples that they use in there.
Uh-huh.
It all sounds very similar. And like they worked on Banjo-Kazooie and it's rare. So like, yeah, that makes sense.
Uh-huh.
I love that. That was unhinged. I love this music in this game.
No, most definitely. It's it definitely conveys the point of the game well, I feel.
Yeah.
It's not serious. You're just kind of all over the place. You're not in like super good control of what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
You're just kind of guiding things around. You're not supposed to take it seriously.
No.
You're just supposed to roll with it.
Which is great. It's really fun. It feels a lot less polished than I think a lot of other stuff that Rare has done. Like just like literally the assets in the game feel a little bit less like first class video game than like something like GoldenEye or Banjo-Kazooie or anything that would come later, where those games felt like, wow, they are really using every bit that's in the N64. This one feels a little bit like looser, not in a bad way, just like something that I noticed while playing it.
Most definitely. Sorry, I was doing some research. It's the jaw harp.
The jaw harp, yeah.
But yeah, it's this weird. It looks like an energy sword from Halo, actually.
Oh yeah, I think I know what you're talking about. It's good. It's fun.
Yeah, the music is fun. It's everything about the game is just trying to be fun.
Yeah, and like I think that there are still games like that, but I feel like games often try and take themselves very seriously, sometimes to very good effect, and other times to like, you guys didn't need to make it this serious. Like, I don't need it to be all this serious all the time. It can just be cruising, which cruising is.
Just cruising. I feel like COD and like some of those year after year war games are pretty bad offenders of that. It's like, does every single one have to be so serious? So serious.
Yeah, and they certainly do.
They certainly do. That's their style. Serious AF.
This game reminds me a lot of the perspective that like those first few Grand Theft Auto games had, the ones where it's like top down. In the same way that like it's kind of hard to see off screen, but I think that's intentional. Like if you could just see the whole level, it would be very obvious that you kind of just have to like drive this way and then that way and then that way.
Yeah.
And so it's a little bit more fun to kind of have to think on your feet of like where am I even going? Okay, I destroyed this building. Where do I need to go next? And I think as a kid I was more frustrated with that, but in hindsight it feels intentional and in a way that is actually quite fun. It feels like it serves the looseness of the game.
Yeah, in that it's you are expected to have a good amount of agency taken away from you when you play this game and just utilize what is given to you and just figure it out.
Yeah, which is fun. I think it's good.
It's a pretty fun game. I found it somewhat repetitive.
Yes, definitely.
Right, but they definitely mitigate that by giving you so many different options in most of the levels to blow things up.
It is sort of interesting to think about like how this game would be received nowadays, and like I sort of agree that it feels kind of small as far as like scope goes, and like it was much more permissible, I guess, when games were a lot simpler. And like, you know, this was like among the first few video games on the N64. People were just like, okay, what next? Like, what's the next thing somebody's going to do? And so it is interesting to see like just how big of a scope a game could even be. And so it's cool to see that it's so focused. And it's like, let's just do this like one thing and do a bunch of different like vehicles and shit. And that'll be our game. Versus, yeah, like if it came out today, you'd be like, okay, this is a cool idea, but like, where's the rest of it?
Yeah, it feels like it would be, if it was released nowadays, it would be a mobile game.
Yeah, probably. You know? Either a mobile game or it would need to have some kind of like score chase ability where like you would need to be able to like compete on these games like daily with like new maps and shit just constantly coming through.
Yeah.
Because I think I beat the like, you know, first series of easy levels. It explicitly says like you're done with the easy levels. And then you go into like the medium and then harder difficulty. I suspect I could probably beat this game in like an hour or two. Like you could probably just be done with it at a certain point. And like for a full release, I think people wouldn't be quite as excited about that nowadays. And so it's definitely interesting to look at it from that perspective of like how has scope changed in video games and like how we expect games to be like gigantic at a certain point.
Yeah, how everything has to be a spectacle that you've never seen before.
Which I think supports the idea of like why roguelikes are so hot, because like in N64, Hades would have been a game where you just play through those 3 levels and that's the end of the game.
Mm-hmm.
Versus they could build a game that's like pretty small but really tight and well polished, and then build a lot of other shit around that. And so you see a lot of roguelikes taking that approach where like, okay, we've got our thing and we're not going to bloat this out into a 20 or 30 hour experience where we need to get artists, for 100 different levels and like a different, 5 different hub cities. You got like 1 or 2. And that's it. But they're allowed to polish that like loop. And so you can imagine a similar sort of thing. You can just apply the same blast core mechanics here of like you get dealt a certain kind of vehicle in the beginning of the game. Yeah, a deck.
You're making this a deck building roguelike, aren't you, Chase?
I'm trying to turn everything in my life into a deck building roguelike. And I will not stop until that mission is complete.
You just so naturally started talking about this. You are fully entrenched in the deck side of video games right now.
Yeah, you can't stop. I can't leave. It's actually a curse.
Once you said on me. Randomly dealt, I was like, oh man, here we are again. But I honestly agree, and it's an interesting observation about how kind of the N64 PS1 era of game can still exist today, but it's become a roguelike, right? Where you take this shorter arc of levels and enemies and then just make it deeper as opposed to larger, if that makes sense, or wider.
And so it's a similar design ethos, because I think a lot of what games were doing in the PlayStation 1 and N64 were like, let's just do a thing really good. Like games that were big in scope were a little bit more rare.
Yeah.
It's why games like Grand Theft Auto or anything like that were so shocking when they came out, because it's like, damn, this game is big and long and there's a lot of it and there's a lot of mechanics. Whereas something like Blast Core, a lot of the games of this era are like, we've got one thing that we're doing, which is much more familiar to how games are developing right now.
Yeah.
And like, not that there aren't gigantic games, but I think the ones where you see a lot of creativity coming out of are the ones where they've just focused on mechanics and then have built something else around that. It's not exactly the same thing, but like Forza is a game built around driving, and that's really it. There's a lot of other shit in there, but like the main point of that game is do a drive good. And that's really satisfying. It's really fun. Yeah, I like looking at these games. It's fun.
It is fun to go back and break them down, and see what is the common thread that connects them to today.
What is your common design? Blast Core good.
It's fun. It's a fun jaunt.
Blast Core has got me hot, David.
Why?
There was a wolf in it or something.
Well, blasts are hot.
Yeah.
You're trying to diffuse or avoid nuclear detonations. You got something in there. You got something in there.
That's a monster of sorts.
That is a creature of some sort.
Yeah. I'm hot for creature. I'll take another 3/8 for that one.
Okay, I'll award you 3/8.
Thank you.
I'm gonna give you 4/8 on that one.
I knew it was gonna be something fucking specific, so now I can't get that common denom. It's 7/8.
You're 1/8 away from a full point.
Oh, I'm so close. If I just mention the phrase hot, pretty soon I'll have a whole point.
Almost there. You're almost there. All right, so we are on Twitter at Podtimism.
Yes.
Tweet us.
Yes.
We are on TikTok.
Yes.
At Podtimism.
Also in Podtimism, yes.
We are on Gmail at podtimism.gmail.com. Podtimism@gmail.com.
That's the one.
And thank you.
Thank you.
Other things.
There was one bit in the middle there. Yeah, that's the one. That's the one.
Apple Podcasts, that's great. Tell a friend about us. That's great too.
That's also good.
But mostly thank you.
Mostly,
for being here.
Thank you for being our friend and listening to this podcast here with us. Yeah, it's been great having you. We really appreciate your presence and your ears. We love making this show as we approach 100.
Oh my God. What are we at right now?
It's shocking. This episode will be coming at you live as Video Game Podtimism's 87th episode.
Wow.
We're rounding the corner pretty soon. And I'm just so excited that people are here and listening. It's incredible. And we really like making it. And we love video games and you, person.
That got really intense there.
Yeah, I just wanted to drive it home. I really wanted people to feel it in their ears.
In their
and
ears.
In their hearts. Mostly in their hearts, if I'm being honest. Thank you. We really appreciate your listenership.
Yeah, thank you very much. Truly. Chase, do you have some video game wisdom for the week?
I do. I really do. You know, I sometimes find myself on top of volcanoes, racing down them.
Oh, that was so good.
That was very good. And sometimes when you're on top of volcanoes, you'll find...
I know. Go for it, baby. Do it.
Thank you. You'll find little monsters up there, little somebody could call them creatures. And I get how tempting it is. It's how hot they are sometimes. And I get that you might say to yourself,
wow,
I'm hot for Kreacher. That one over there. I'll take my point. But what you should do is not fall in love with a lava monster. I think that that's not a good call because you live in your human body. I think we might have lava monster listeners. I haven't checked the stats recently, but more than likely you're a human. And I think that falling in love with a lava monster is going to be tougher for you in the end. At the same time, now that I'm speaking this out loud, live your truth.
Truly.
If you do, in fact, have hots for Kreacher, then I think that maybe you should look into that and see, maybe you can make this work. One of you is going to have to move. Either they're going to have to uproot their family in the volcano and move down to your, home in Sacramento, or you're going to have to move onto the volcano. Either way, it's going to be hard, but if you're in love, dude, fuck it. That's all that matters. What else are we doing on this rock, man?
Nothing.
You
ain't doing nothing if you ain't hot for your creatures.
That's what I've been saying. So anyway, point being, the final score, after much trial and tribulation, is I have 1 point and 7/8.
No,
David has 3.
No, you don't have 1 point and 7/8. You just did it 2 more times in that.
Oh, I wasn't counting the second one.
I count the second one.
Okay, so now let's roll it back.
And
I have 2 points and 7/8. David, squeaking by the hair of his nose, has 3 points.
But
I think.
But you also said it more times in general, even if it wasn't a true hot for Kreacher.
Even
which
if it wasn't
I think
funny.
at least counts for an eighth of a point.
You're trying to get us over the line at the same time.
I'm trying to get us over the line at the same time. This is a Ford versus Ferrari situation.
It's not who won. It's just the sheer competition that's driven us to hot for Kreacher comedy.
Hot for comedy.
Got it bad, got it bad. Clown honking noise. I'm hot for comedy. That was absolutely the name of somebody's improv comedy troupe in the 80s. I don't know where.
Yeah.
Or I don't know where and I don't know how, but that was the name. Somebody just woke up in a cold sweat. Just, oh my God. Somebody spoke the name.
It was a vision. Doesn't have the same, it doesn't roll off the tongue like Hot for Kreacher does, though.
No, it doesn't. Nobody said it was a good name, but they really liked Van Halen and they needed it to be that.
Hot for Kreacher should be our spin-off creature podcast about different creatures in games and films and anything else.
A little creature lore.
Creature cast.
Maybe that's what we do for the 100th episode. We just make a very sharp 90-degree turn into the creature cast.
It's no longer video games, everybody.
It's creatures now. Listen, now we're talking about fucking salamanders and aardvarks and stuff. Creatures. Anyway, we're all hot for Kreacher here, and that'll be the end of this episode, David.
All right, sounds good.
Okay, goodbye.
Bye.